Good morning, good day, good evening, good after Halloween day. I hope you guys enjoyed your Halloween yesterday if you went out. If you had kidlets, I hope you stayed warm because I know where I am. It was very, very, very cold yesterday. I am your host, Heather Clark, your declutter expert. And on today's show, we are talking about heartbreak to healing, decluttering during and after a divorce or major breakup. So, with this, I want to actually start off explaining because obviously divorce, we all know what a divorce is, and you're married to somebody, you've got assets, you got this and whatever. Also, with the major breakup, when I say that, I don't just mean you know yes, obviously somebody you've been with for a few years, that's a major breakup, but I'm talking about the one where it literally is including the stuff, where you guys lived together, where you had finances together, where you had bank accounts maybe together. And yes, I love how you're saying, and we're live. Yes, we are actually live this time. Listen, you said it, what, after the time that I was not live for that moment. You do it once and you're never going to do it again. So, yeah. Oh, trust me, every time now I check and make sure that that red block is there, saying that I am live and counting. But yeah, so we're talking about major breakups and a divorce. On the major breakup being that you guys, had family together, whether you had finances together, you lived together, all that stuff. Like you had stuff together. Those are the kind of breakups. Because obviously, yes, are the other breakups major as well? For sure. But the ones I'm talking about for this show is when you actually have to split assets, you have to split things, you have to do that. And it's the physical stuff of everything, including the emotional, mental, and spiritual as well. So yeah, so our first thing you want to think about, okay, we're talking, you decided, okay, this is done. We're done. It's agreed upon on both parties. Now what? Now what the heck are we going to do? Obviously, divorce usually, and major breakups, especially when there's assets, usually the first thing you do is you get yourself a lawyer. Do I suggest this? Yes, sometimes, depending. If you don't know anything to do with law, absolutely. Get yourself a lawyer. Make sure that everything that you're doing together and separating things is very legal and very whatever. If you know the law and you understand and you've self-rep before or whatever the case may be, cool. Then continue doing that. But just make sure, and again, still when it comes to assets, I would still suggest a lawyer because they can get complicated, they can get messy, they can get, very, very ridiculous. And then with that as well, like, okay, so you're getting your lawyer, you're doing that, it's stressful. There is no doubt that a divorce or a major breakup where you have assets, where you have maybe even kids together, where you have that stuff together, the stress that you're going to go under in this time is going to be astronomical. There is no doubt. Yes, even the ones that, oh, we're all calm, it was amicable, we were good about it. It's still stressful because not only do you have to worry about, okay, well, who gets the house? Oh, are we going to sell the house? Oh, and how's the market for the house right now? Like, if right now is when it's happening, the market for housing, it's crazy. Okay, are we both living in the house until we both can find something? Are we going to sell it and then we split it? Like, what's going on? What's this? And it's, yes, yes, the purpose of the show is not to declutter ourselves. Although technically in a divorce, you are decluttering somebody. Eh, anyways, or a major breakup. But I digress. Um, and with the stuff, like when you get, okay, so you've got your lawyer and you've got, you know what you're going through, and you know that, okay, this is how we're going to split things. This is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be. Yes, as amicable as that can be, like I said, it still causes stress. During this time, you want to make sure you're checking in with yourself each and every day, each and every single day. Because I know, well, I know with me especially, and there's some people that are opposite of this, but when I'm stressed, I go into I don't eat mode. I forget to even eat. And I remember during my divorce, I'll tell you, back in 2013. I remember, so my sister was also getting married in that September of 2013. I hadn't told the family at all yet, because obviously I didn't want to put anything beyond what my sister was getting married. Like, hi, oh, by the way, your other sister is getting a divorce. No, that was not something I wanted anyone to know until later. Um, but yeah, so I was under all that stress because I'm like, okay, I need to pretend that I'm happy. I need to pretend this. Plus, I just had taken a general manager position and just got into my store, which bless their hearts, as the US say, um, they should have had me there a long time before I was actually there. But that's okay. I digress again. But yeah, so I was under a lot of stress, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, literally physically and stuff. And I got to a point where I didn't even realize I wasn't eating. I got to a point where at my sister's wedding, I look back at the photos and I'm like, holy Hannah, I had chicken wing arms. I got to the lowest, absolute lowest weight that I had ever been in my, not just, yeah, like in my adult life, my absolute adult life. I think I was actually even less than when I was in, well, it was definitely less than when I was in high school. I'm thinking even as far back as like grade 8, grade 7. Like that's how bad stress caused me to just not eat, to whatever. Like it was bad. I remember having a going to the store with my aunt to get a dress for my sister's wedding, and I'm like, okay, this is way too big. I'm like, okay, then they must have like, a smaller size. And my aunt was like, listen, this is a crazy, and she told me this. I'm not going to tell you guys because it was itty bitty. And I was like, oh, I don't even know if I've ever been in that size. So even like as a kid, like I remember still being in a bigger size in dresses, like the grad dresses and all that stuff. I'm like, oh my. So, and then I know that there's people that are absolute opposite, where they are stress eaters. And that's why I say during this time, you have to check in on yourself. It's going to be the hardest thing because there's just so much crap going on around you. There's so many legal papers coming at you. There's, if you had a joint account, you have to figure out that money. You have to, and this is if it's amicable. If it's not so amicable, I can't say that word properly, then there's that added stress of the conflict. And if neither party communicate well and neither party does conflict well, that adds that extra bit of stress that is so going to affect your mental and emotional and spiritual self. And then all of that is going to cause the physical ailments. I promise you, like if you have a physical ailment right now, look into what emotion that might represent. If you have a physical ailment in your stomach, if you have, like, I know Jess, you have a book and it's great. I always ask Jess for, hey, just out of curiosity, what does this mean when this, my left shoulder hurts, which is still one of those things that hurts because that's just my own dumbass self because I grabbed a tire in each arm and I brought them to the front garage and stuff like that. But look into what ailment you're currently having and see what emotion is attached to that. I don't know if anyone has seen the or read the book or even podcasts talk about it. I know YouTube has a whole bunch of stuff on it, but the emotional code, where it basically says that, our body will store our emotion, our trauma, and whatever, and then it manifests itself into a ailment. And so look into those things. So if while you're going through all this, you all of a sudden start getting stomach issues, or you start, getting pains in somewhere else, whether it's, your right side or your left side, because your left side's your female side, your right side's your male side, or masculine and feminine, sorry. Um, and so, yeah, so look into those things because that might be your, like, golden ticket to realize, oh, yeah, no, my stomach's been hurting ever since this happened. I'm storing this stress. I'm not actually getting it out of my system. That's going to cause me to have ulcers in my stomach. It's going to have like stomach issues, vomiting, all those kind of things. Maybe even it's in your gut and it's starting to, cause the diarrhea, the excess gas, the excess bloating because we store those emotions. Those are the things we need to look at while we're going through these things, not just after, but while we're going through these things. And honestly, I wish I had known this when I went through my own things because, again, it becomes a fog when you're going through these things and you're just trying to go about your day to day and you've got so many things on. And mind you, I had way too many things on my plate. Um, but you really have to understand the amount of stress that you're going to go under, even when you think, nah, I'm good. I'm handling this properly. You might think that, but then again, like I said, your body's showing you different. You might get back pain. You might end up, your knees might start hurting all of a sudden. You're like, where did this come from? I didn't hurt myself. I didn't injure myself. But again, like I said, if those are the things that while you're going through these, you know, divorce slash major breakup steps, look into what those mean and then sit on those and go, okay, how is it that I can take better care of myself knowing I'm going through this? Because I will get through it and you will get through it. It's just a matter of how am I going to best take care of myself, knowing that this has to happen, but I still need to take care of myself while it's happening. Heal Your Body by Louise Hay. There you go. That was the book that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, it's great because again, I say it's great because I keep going to Jess, and but yeah, she probably could talk more about it because each time it's awesome. It tells you like where it is, and it gives you affirmations to repeat to yourself. Like I can't give examples right now because obviously I don't have the book in front of me. But yeah, it just gives you examples of affirmations to say for that specific ailment, for that specific body part that's bothering you, this, that, whatever, etc. So that because of the fact that it's that energy, and again, everything is energy. When it's energy and it's stuck in your body and has nowhere to go, that's going to cause that ailment. Um, and then again, like I said, when going through the divorce or the major breakup, communication is key. Whether it is communicating with the other party or it's communicating with your loved ones, getting the support from your loved ones. That's one thing that my family was like, "How why didn't you tell us?" And I said because it wasn't yours. Like I did like I'm not somebody who I'm like I had to go through it before I could tell you guys because I didn't know what I was going through yet in order to explain because I knew there'd be questions. But they said, "Yeah, but we could have better supported you or even understood why and what was going on." And so, yeah, so that was one of the things that I absolutely learned from my, I wouldn't call it a mistake because, again, my not telling my family is, I definitely would not call that a mistake. It was a lesson learned in this fact that communicating that stuff to your loved ones helps them better understand. And it doesn't mean that they have to, give their opinion and, oh, you should have, or oh, you shouldn't do this, or whatever. Just as a support for you, knowing that you have somebody to just vent to if you need to. Like I absolutely had my best friends, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts that they've heard about a few things over the years, actually over the decade, um, and it's life saving, honestly. Having somebody to be able to talk to, regardless whether they've gone through it, regardless whether they are an expert at any of this stuff, just having that person or those people to discuss things with and tell them, listen, I know you're probably going to get sick and tired of me talking about this, but I just need to vent. If you are not the person that can handle me continually to vent, because trust me, this can go on for years when it comes to a divorce. Divorces can take years. And then when you think they're done, they can take more years. Um, but if the person honestly, and just say, listen, I honestly get it. If you can't handle me talking to you about this, I totally get it. I understand. Do not like, I don't feel anything beyond the fact of I just want somebody to talk to about this so that I cannot have it stored in my own body. That would cause me more stress. That would cause me more ailment. And if your friends are like, listen, it brings me too much pain to see you in this, blah, 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 etc., then go get a professional. Go talk to somebody, get a therapist, get a counselor, anybody that you can talk to, because that's the part that I forgot to do in the sense of actually talking to somebody professional while I was going through all those emotions and stuff like that. Yes, I had my girlfriends for sure, but did I tell them everything? No, because I didn't want to overwhelm them because, good Lord, there was a lot going on. But getting that professional, that even a counselor, just to somebody who's an expert at listening to people talk about these things, that understand that what goes on during these times. Get that professional help because that is what's going to help you through and get you to be able to verbalize it so that moves the energy out of your body. Yes, feeling good is not an indicator of no stress. Being able to handle things doesn't mean the stress doesn't exist. Why am I not putting this on the screen? There we go. It's on the screen now. Now you guys can also read it on the replay as well. But yes, being able to handle things honestly. So um, I know that there's high functioning depressed people. So when I say high functioning, I mean you would not know one bit that they are going through something because they keep going about their day every single day. They still seem like they're happy as heck. They still show up to work with a smile on their face. They still get their job done. It's high functioning. But the moment that they're back in their home with nobody around, that's when they crash. That's when they break down. And that's when they don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to eat. They don't want to do anything. They don't even want to barely brush their teeth. But when they have to get back to work the next day, up and at them. They're doing this, they're doing that, they're showing up at work, whatever, because they are still going through it. And, they look okay and they look like they're handling things, but they're not. They're just showing it because they're so high functioning. And then when they come back to themselves, back to so they don't have to worry about other people, that's when it affects them. And then, like I said, it will always show up in the body. Sometimes just knowing that someone's there is all the help you need. Yeah, for some people that is absolutely. Just knowing that somebody is there that you can talk to. Somebody is there that you can, and like I said, even if it's a professional, even if it is just a professional because you don't want to spill your tea or air your dirty laundry to your family, your friends, especially if the friends are still mutual friends of you and your ex. You don't want to do that. So therefore, having that person that you can talk to, that you can, email or text or pull up the phone call and, make an appointment with them saying, listen, I'm having a rough week. Can I just make an appointment for, whatever? Yep, absolutely. You go in, you just have somebody to talk to. I know there's a lot of places now on that do the counseling online where you're literally just, it's like a friend you're texting. So they text you back and forth, back and forth. I forget what the company is, but I saw it the other day and or the other week. And yeah, it was just a back and forth texting one where I think it was geared more towards the younger generation, like the kids now, because it's all about texting. Whereas this is more like, because, kids don't like to answer the phone. They don't want to talk on the phone. They would rather do the texting. So I think that's where it was geared towards. But still, like some of us don't like phone calls. Some of us don't want to go in, or we can't find the time in our schedule on, a regular day because we're working during the day. But being able to just, send a quick text, hey, I'm having a rough day or I'm having a rough time right now. They would text back, hey, tell me about it. Let me know, whatever. And you can text back. It's certain things like that. Like it's just knowing that you've got that person because this is going to change you. There's no doubt. The person you were before the divorce, the person you are going to be during the divorce or breakup is going to be different. And the person after the divorce and the breakup is going to be different as well. Like you will become three different people. It is absolutely crazy. And I'm not like some people, they say, oh, you haven't changed this. No, you have. No, you absolutely have. Your internal world has changed because there are lessons that probably happened. There are things that conflicts that ended up happening, words that were said that shouldn't have been said. Learn from those words, heard things being told about you, you say things about the other person. Conflict and divorce and a major breakup that causes the conflict can cause you to be somebody that when you look back at it, you're like, that was something that I never thought I'd do. That is somebody that I never thought I'd become because, again, the stress that you're under, the amount of mental load and emotional load that you're carrying during this time is huge, and it shifts you. So that's why, like, the self-care is absolutely mandatory. Like, that was one thing that I learned this time around, that self-care is absolutely mandatory. There is no ifs, ands, or buts that you need to put yourself first when you're going through something like this. Now, obviously, if you have kids, clearly kids come first with you. But I'm saying you need to worry about you before you worry about the couch that you guys are arguing over. You need to worry about you before you need to worry about the items or the pictures or whatever that you're trying to split. Because if you aren't in the right mindset, if you aren't in the right emotional space, things, words, and actions will be done that later on you kind of go look back and go, who was that? Who was that person? Because I don't recognize he or she or they. I don't recognize them at all. That is not who I wanted to be. Or that is, or it could be like that's exactly how I wanted to handle that. That is exactly, but I am such a stronger person now. And that's the thing. Like it can also be, I think actually, regardless, you become a stronger person. Some people feel like um, they get defeated during these times, but I honestly believe that you become much stronger afterwards. After all said and done, after the final signatures on things, after all, everything's separated, all of the items are separated, you figured out what's going on with the house, you figured out what's going on with the kids. After all of that, I find you're much, much stronger as a human being and you know lessons and you become more aware of what you truly want. And I think that's why divorces and all that stuff, because it's a combination of, obviously there's major differences in why divorces happen, why major breakups happen, but I think it's just a combination of one person has grown, the other person has grown, but then you start just separating. And this person, as much as, so many people are like, oh, but you're married. Oh, but you've been together for this long. But if neither party are happy and all they're doing is causing more stress being together, then why are you together? And that's where, a lot of it comes down to. And this is why some of them are just amicable. And they're like, listen, I still care for them. I still love them. But we just, you know what? We're just not good husband and wife. Or we're not good husband, husband, wife, wife, or whatever. And it does become amicable, but then, separating things becomes stressful and, eventually, but certain people can still remain friends after it. Some people never want to see the other person if they never had to. Sometimes you have to because of the fact that you have children together or, whatever. So there's just certain things that you've got to make sure that throughout the entire process, you're taking care of you. Yes, this is a time that you get to be self involved and all about you and self absorbed because you cannot think properly, you cannot act properly, you cannot say things properly when you are under such a major stressful event and you're not taking care of your mind, body, soul. Because when you're not taking care of your body, like you're not eating properly, you're not making sure you got enough water, that's going to affect your mood. Like I know for me now, like there's a reason why there's a term called hangry. And when you haven't eaten and given your body proper nutrition and proper food, you're going to get hangry. You're going to change the way you react to things. You're going to be shorter. So if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not eating properly while you're going through these major events, you could be reacting to something that had you eaten, had you taken the proper water, had you taken care of yourself, gotten proper sleep, that's a big one too. And I know it's hard to do it when you're going through these things, but had you done all these things, would you have reacted differently? I can almost guarantee, yes, you might have reacted totally differently. Because I know there's certain times, like even with my kids right now, like there's certain times where I'm like, listen, I clearly haven't eaten today and I'm overreacting to what's happening right now. I said, I'm not talking to you properly. I'm not expressing things, whatever. And I go eat. And then I wait a little bit. And then I'm like, okay, now let's discuss. Because not only that, but while I eat, I'm taking that time. And while I'm letting it digest and everything like that, it also gives that break for them and for myself to just step back. Both parties get to think about what just happened. And then when you come together again, it's a different energy that you bring to the table. And then moving forward after all of this, after all of it, like I said, is said and done, and you figured out, okay, hey, sometimes you find out who your real friends are. Sometimes you find out that, who you thought was your friend is actually not. And they're like, no, we don't agree with divorce. We don't agree with this. I can't be part of, this friendship. And that's okay. You might lose those friends. You might lose people in your life because of the breakup or because of the divorce. You have to understand you're going to be okay. This is something that might happen. I'm not going to guarantee that it's going to happen, but it might. You might lose people because, again, some people just are very strong hearted on nobody gets a divorce. If you're together that long, you shouldn't break up. You shouldn't do this. You should figure it out. There's always way, back in the day, blah, 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 etc. Again, I'm not going to go over in that because obviously I'm a divorcee. I don't believe in staying in something that makes you so unhappy that, the communication and everything. I don't believe that. I believe that there are some times where you just do separate to make sure that, and especially with our kids, to make sure that you can show them what a healthy relationship means, even if it's not with their other parent. So making sure that, when you do move forward and when you finally figure it out and everything is said and done, that you're finding things that still bring you joy. Because it's going to take you a while to heal. It's going to take you a while to understand and to open up your heart again. Some people maybe not so much as not as, going from the next one to the next one to the next one to the next one. That's also not healing. But just taking time for yourself, taking time for you and understanding that what is it that I want in this next relationship? What is it that I want for myself, for if you do have kids, what do I want for us? And then moving forward and know that you're okay and be okay with being by yourself too. I think a lot of people, the problem with a lot of people, and the reason why we see certain people go from one to the next to the next to the next, is because they're afraid to be by themselves. They don't like being by themselves because they don't like who they are. And they definitely probably don't like who they are or who they were during this time that you were going through the breakup, that you were going through the divorce. And there's a lot of people that are like that. I've seen it plenty of times with a lot of people that, in the group that I'm in, it was I was a self rep, but in that group, just hearing the back and forth of like certain people and just understanding that people don't like being alone. And it kind of, I don't know, kind of makes me think like, why? And it's not just oh, I'm lonely and whatever. It's just they don't like their own presence to be in a room by themselves. They don't like, and that's something that you want to look at. If that's what it's happening afterwards, again, what is that about? Look into that, sit with that, meditate on that if you have to, and go, what is it of this situation that why don't I like being alone? Why don't I like me? What about me is not something that I enjoy having as a day-to-day event? Like, why can't I be alone? Why can't I be by myself? Because if you can't be by yourself, if you can't be happy with you, how are you going to bring that to another relationship after a major event like a divorce or a major breakup where you're splitting assets and stuff? Those are the things like, and this is why, like, for me, it's interesting to see when people go from one relationship to the next, and like, it's shocking to see how little of time there is in between. And it's like, but did you really heal? Or are you about to bring your unhealed parts into another relationship and cause more grief for that new partner? Now, mind you, I know there's a lot of people that talk about trauma bonding, or, there's the bonding of, okay, I'm going through something, you're going through something, let's go through it together. Trust me, I feel that I've had a relationship like that. And it was okay for the time being, but after the fact, it was an eye opener. There is no doubt about it. There was an eye opener, and it took a while before I would even want to get into another relationship because I'm like, okay, there's something about me that's way unhealed that I needed to heal first. Now, do I still have healing to go through now that I just had another one? Yes, absolutely. Am I going to get no? Because I know that there's still stuff that I want to do and I want to heal and I am taking responsibility for me and my actions and my emotions, my mental state, my whatever, because I'm not bringing that to another relationship. If I even go into another relationship right now, my kids are at an age where I'm like, I don't even know if I have time. I don't even know if I have time for, to get to know somebody again. So, and it's not the fact that I'm avoiding it or I'm like, oh, absolutely not, never again type thing. It's like right now, in where I am in my life, I like me. I do. I like who I am. I like where I am going. I just don't have the time to get to know somebody, to do the, oh, hey, here's my family. Oh, by the way, and oh, hey, yeah, there's a lot of, stuff that's coming with me type of thing. Here's, don't talk to my mom, don't talk to my dad, this, that, whatever. My sister's down in the States, my other sister's over like, 4.5 hours away. Like to tell somebody that doesn't already know that, which is my best friends and all that stuff, know those things. I'm like, ah, I just don't know. I like being alone, and it's not that I'm only going to be alone. It's just right now, the age my kids are and stuff like that, I just don't see it happening. Am I open to the possibility? For sure. But I'm definitely not going on the online dating apps. Oh heck no. No, no, no. I've seen way too many TikToks and way too many um, horror stories on that lately. Like just this year, like in the past, what I'd say, well, my algorithm, I'm guessing in the past 2 months. But yeah, like it's not something that I'm open to. But again, if you're open to that and you already have healed through all of this, you've talked to the counselor, you've talked to the professional, you've gone and done the meditation, you've taken care of your body, and you know that you are on a healthy um, trajectory for the next relationship, by all means, go and do that. If that is something you want to do, by all means. And if you're doing it not because you're afraid to be alone, cool. That I totally get. Like that, you do you, boo. I don't even know who says that usually, but you do you, boo. Um, I'm just saying, make sure that you are doing it from a healthy part of you. That you're not doing it because you are afraid to be alone. That you miss this and you miss that and you miss whatever. Because if you continue to miss these things and that's the reason why you're getting into a relationship, it's just going to have a complete cycle over and over and over again. It's when you can feel okay being on your own and with you and your thoughts and your emotions, that's when you know you're starting to heal. That's when you know and it's healing is going to be an ongoing thing. Because even when you start dating, when you figure out, okay, you know what, no, I'm good, I'm healed, whatever. You go on a date and you realize, they say something that you feel in your body and it triggers you and you're like, why'd they ask that? What's going on? Okay, look into that. Maybe that's something that you need to look into and go, okay. Because again, at the end of the day, we can't control what somebody else is going to do. We can only control the way we react, the way we think, what we say. That's it. So when we take responsibility for those actions and responsibility for the emotions that we're feeling, that's when we know we're on the healing journey and we're continuing to heal. And like I said, it's a continuous process. We got together very quickly after we left our exes. It's not always easy, but it does work for some people. Depends on the parties and if they're willing to do the work. And that's it. And that's why I said, I'm like, for some people, it works. If you're willing to, like you said, do the work together, do the work on yourselves, but also on the relationship together. Absolutely, it can work for some people. There is no doubt. I'm not denying that at all. I'm just saying make sure that you're not doing it out of a fear-based mind or out of a, oh, I have to, oh, I can't afford this place on my own, so I'm gonna invite somebody to live with me again. Those are the parts that it's like, Are you doing it just for the financials so that whatever? Like, are you bonding that way and it becomes weird? But yeah, like I said, yeah, absolutely, there are some people that can come together quickly after, divorce, because you know what? The thing with a lot of divorces too is, yeah, okay, you just divorced, you finally moved out of the house, but emotionally, you have already divorced them years prior to, months prior to. So you've already done the healing while the divorce was actually happening as well. And so I think that's why that can happen, is because you've already dealt with the things and you come together with somebody who is willing to now work with you and work on things together, as opposed to the person you probably were with before that they weren't so willing to do a whole lot. Um, but yeah, like I said, like it's it's possible, but I'm just making sure that as you've healed or as you're healing, that you're doing it not because it is a desperation thing, not because it's, I can't live with just myself, my own thoughts, my own whatever. So I have to have somebody to distract me. And that's where it becomes the bonding. That's where you get the relationship from that way. Those are the ones that I'm saying, make sure you're okay with you and make sure that they are okay with them before you get together after a divorce or a major breakup as well. Um, yeah, and I think that was it. And just making sure you have the support like that. Take care of you, have your support. Yes, it can get nasty. Some can be very amicable. But again, you're going to go through that stress, making sure, even if you have to journal, even if I remember I was videoing during my time, like I didn't want to journal and stuff like that. I was actually doing videos. I was recording myself and my thoughts and I would do whatever. Never posted them anywhere, never would. I think I ended up actually, I think they ended up on my old computer and I can't even open that computer anyways. Um, but yeah, it was just so that I could get that energy out. So whether it's your journaling, whether it's, writing down, whether it's just talking to yourself in a video and you never show anybody but yourself, whatever, you can just say it and then delete it if you need to. I ended up actually going back to mine and just seeing, like, writing down a few things, like keywords that I would say, and I'm like, okay, let's see what the pattern is here. um, yeah, and there's just different ways that everyone deals with, and doing a whole episode on this, just this, I'm sure I could talk about this for hours upon hours. I'm gonna not because obviously we don't need that, but it's there's resources out there for you, there's professionals out there for you, there's your friends, your family, making sure that communication with your family and letting them know. And if you don't want to tell them the details, express that too. Say, listen, I don't want to go into details. I've already been going through this and had a lot of whatever, but just please just understand that this is what's happening. I'm okay. And when I'm not, are you somebody I can lean on? And they can say, yeah, sure. Or no, actually, I'm still friends with your ex and whatever, etc. Like there are so many situations in this. And trust me, during a major breakup or divorce, things can get nasty or things can be really good too. I've seen both ends of the spectrum. Um, but yeah, and that's it for this episode. Next show will be November 15th at 8 a.m. EDT, which I know this weekend is we're turning back the clock. So just make sure that it's still 10 a.m., but EDT, EDT time. I can't say that. And then what we're going to do is getting more details about. So it's going to continue this series and it's going to be about more details when a loved one is sick, whether that is sick with dementia, sick with a terminal illness, sick with, major, like where their life is shortened for sure because of this sickness. So yeah, so that will be on November 15th. And take care, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.